Welcome to the lecture series on VLSI design. In the previous lecture, we have studied the working of 4 transistor DRAM and 6 transistor SRAM. In this lecture, we will be studying about introduction of testing and logic verification. The word testing gives us the meaning that some test has to be done for something which is being manufactured. Say for example, if you are manufacturing a simple charger which can charge the mobile phone, then before sending it to the market, definitely we will be testing the charger. Therefore, so before that, let me tell you what will be the internal circuitry of any mobile charger, because it is been asked in the interview of a core company. So basically, the mobile charger will have 3 blocks. The first block will be rectifier, full wave rectifier, which will convert 230 volts, that is AC supply which we get, into some pulsating DC of some standard value, say 6 volts. It depends on transformer which we are using inside the full wave rectifier. After that, we use the filter, wherein we get the output at this point in this way, where the capacitor will simply charge and discharge. This part we have already studied in basic subjects. Still, after that, we will use voltage regulator here, which will maintain the voltage constant. So I get constant voltage at the output of the mobile charger. In the same way, what I was saying was the testing, it may require some extra effort compared to our original design. Say for example, I have put some effort in building this circuitry, that is mobile charger. Sometimes for some circuits it may happen so that the testing may require extra effort or more effort compared to building the original circuitry or the main circuitry. So testing, what do you mean by testing is simply checking that we get the expected output. In digital electronics, we have something called as truth table or functional table, where we get to know how the circuit will function. For example, AND gate. AND gate will give the output for all the combinations 1. When all the combinations are 1, the output will be 1, otherwise it will be 0. So here testing means, in simple words, verifying that we are getting proper output from proper input. Say for example 0 0, the AND gate should give 0, and for 1 1 combination the AND gate should give the output as 1, and for 0 1 as well as 1 0 the output should be 0. If any of these 4 combinations is not satisfied by the AND gate, then we can say that the AND gate has been failed in the testing. So generally, if we are having n number of inputs, then the combinations given for testing, or the total number of combinations which can be fed as input will be 2 raised to n. Here also we have two inputs, say A and B. So there are 4 combinations, that is 2 raised to 2. So 0 0, 0 1, 1 0 and 1 1. There are 4 combinations. So in general, this is the relationship between the input and number of combinations. Now in VLSI it becomes very difficult to test a circuit. Say for example, if we have a chip, say microprocessor, around 32 bits. So in our PCs we find processors, say 64-bit processor or 32-bit processor. For simplicity, if I take 32-bit processor only, then the number of inputs will be 32, or 32-bit processor. Why it is called a 32-bit processor is it can operate, or it can do functions on 32 bits. Therefore, when I say 32-bit microprocessor, then the total number of combinations will be 2 raised to 32. Now 2 raised to 32, if you just Google it, you will get around 429.49 crores. So you, on an around, you can think 429 crores. Those number of input combinations will be there for any circuit which is having 32 inputs. Now it becomes very difficult, very difficult to give those many combinations to the microprocessors and check the functionality. Why? Because if you think that giving testing the circuit for one combination, that is 0 0, if it is taking even 1 nanosecond of time, for one input combination, still giving 429 crores of combinations, it will take a huge time for a single chip. And the present trend is early into the market, more is the profit. That means, say if a company is producing microprocessors, if there is a one more company which is also producing the same kind of microprocessors, so early into the market, more will be the profit. Means if company A, if it is okay, there are two companies, A and B, and if company A, if it is giving its ICs to the market, say 1 month early compared to company B, then the company A will gain huge amount of profit compared to company B. But the ICs cannot be given into the market without testing. So my point was, what I was trying to convey was, if the testing is taking very huge amount of time, then this is not possible. Early into the market, it is not possible. And one more thing, say if we have a silicon wafer, whose diameter will be around 15 centimeters on an average. Now you have seen the size of any chip which is too small. You can think say 1 centimeter square. So in this total wafer of diameter 15 centimeters, so there will be multiple chips like this. There will be multiple chips, maybe 500, maybe 1000 chips can be manufactured on the single silicon wafer, and these 1000 chips are to be tested individually. Why testing individually is required? Say, see, all ICs, they are of the same functionality. Say AND gate, all ICs are AND gate, but still, while manufacturing process, if there was some error at this point, say masking error, or you have seen fabrication steps, so in those steps there was, if there was any error only at this part of the wafer, at that time these chips won't get affected. So these chips will be all right, they will be working fine, but the chips present in this area, these chips will be definitely affected. The reason may be anything like introduction of dust. Some dust particles, if they are being introduced at only at this part of the wafer, then these number of chips will not be functioning properly. So what I was telling is testing of single chip, if it is done by giving those many combinations, 400 crore combinations. Why I have to give 400 combinations? Because even if my chip is failing even a single combination, then we can say that the testing is not successful or the chip is malfunctioning. Even if it is not working for a single combination also, at that time also we can say that the chip is not functioning properly. So it is failed in the testing. Therefore we have to carry out all the combinations, and we have seen how much it may take some years, or it may take few months to test a single IC, right? So testing single IC will take so much time, then testing these many thousand ICs, it may take years together, right? So it is a very tedious job or challenging job to test any IC. Then we'll go further. We have three main categories or three types. Uh, Basically, we have three types of testing. The first one is logic verification, or you can say functionality test, wherein logic verification, it is very simple to understand. We are verifying the logic of the circuit or of the IC. Or functionality test, we are verifying functionality of the IC. That is, if I am manufacturing an AND gate, then it has to perform like AND gate. If it is doing that, this test is over. That is, we have verified that the AND gate is working properly. That is simply it is whether it is obeying the truth table or no, whether it is obeying its characteristic, or whether it is doing what it has to do. If it is satisfying that, then we can say that functionality test is successful, or that IC has passed the functionality test. Second type of test, it will confirm that chip operates as it was intended, that is functionality itself, and in addition to that, it will help to debug any discrepancies, or if there are any errors, then we can try to debug them. So uh, so this second type of test, it will be something more complex compared to the first type of test, because here we are simply verifying the functionality. Here we are verifying the functionality as well as we are trying to debug any errors. If there are any errors, we are trying to debug them. So moving further, second type of test, it is done in this way. Say for if we have a IC of microprocessor, then it can be placed in a prototype motherboard, and we can simply try to boot the operating system from it. Whether that processor IC is it capable of booting the operating system. This is you can say a second type of testing. This is just an example. And the third type of test, it goes in detail. That is, it will try to see whether every transistor or every gate or every storage element within that chip it is functioning correctly, whether it is working correctly or no. So this is again more complex compared to the second type of testing. These testing are third type of testing. It is called as manufacturing test. It is conducted on each manufactured chip, as I have said you, before shipping to the customer. So the reputation of the company, it will fall down if the company is shipping the chips to the customer with an error. Therefore, before shipping to the customer, we have to do all these tests. So the third type of test, it will try to debug transistor wise or gate wise if there are any errors. Now the yield of a particular IC is that is here we are speaking yield. What is yield is the output or the success rate of the manufacturing. The yield is the success rate of the manufacturing. So it is the ratio of good die divided by total number of die. Now what is this die? Die is nothing but the chip itself. So I have said you that there is a wafer, and onto that wafer if we have manufactured say 1000 ICs, and out of those 1000 ICs, say only 600 ICs they are working properly or they are functioning properly, then we can say that the yield of this manufacturing was only 60%, because it is 600 divided by 1000. It is 600 divided by 1000. It gives 60%. So this is the yield. Or good, or it is very simple. A good number of ICs out of total manufactured ICs is the yield of the IC. How we will come to know the yield? Again, it will be known by the simple process called as testing. Then I had just now said you that dust particles or small imperfections, or we also know some lambda based design rules which we already studied in the previous chapters. Even if those lambda based design rules they are violated, then one layer can be shorted with the other layer. In that case also there will be some error. So testing involves everything, finding the errors. So dust particles or small imperfections in the material or even photomasking can result in few missing connections or some errors. So by testing, what we are determining which die are good or which chips are good, and after testing which all chips can be put into the market or shipped to the customers. Then testing a chip, we can do the testing at different levels: wafer level, packaged chip level, board level, system level, followed by field level. So what do you mean by wafer level? Say I said you that we have a wafer. So onto that wafer we have say 1000 chips, small number of chips. So testing of chips onto the wafer, it is very easy compared to all these levels. Why? Because here we have all the inputs, and we have all the ICs onto the same single wafer. Say 1000 ICs are available here on a single wafer. But when we are going to packaged chip level, that means, say for example, I can call this IC as 741 op-amp, which we have already studied in LIC subject. So if that IC, if it has been packaged in the sense, if we have enclosed that chip, the circuitry, onto into a plastic covering, which is of black in color, right? Then we will be having some inputs. Input, say this 741 is 8-pin IC. So we'll be having these input and output connections, or wires. Uh, this also can be tested. So this is called as package. This black color casing is called as package, and within this package will be having the IC, and that IC will be connected to these inputs and outputs in this way within this package. So when we are speaking of package, this type of ICs, which we have already studied, we have seen it in our labs, black color ICs, those ICs are called as packaged chip level. Or so testing on packaged chip level, it is somewhat complex than wafer level. It is the easiest. Wafer level is the easiest. Packaged chip level, it is somewhat easier, but not the easiest, because we have all the input lines and we can give any combination, any size signal to test the IC. Coming to the third one, board level. So say if I have one PCB, a board, onto which there are say 5 ICs placed, and there are some interconnections between these ICs also. Say this is an adder, simple adder. Okay, so adder has A XOR B XOR C, so you can think this is an XOR gate, this is an AND gate, and so on. So there is a possibility that I may not get all the input lines or output lines on this board. I may get only one input line or two input line. Or what I'm trying to say is, testing the IC onto a board, it is more complex than testing a single IC, which is independent. Similarly, if I go to system level, again this board, the system level means there will be multiple boards on a system. So again there will be multiple ICs. So testing of IC onto the system level, it becomes more complex, and followed by field level, that is, you have seen FPGAs and all. So in those there will be multiple ICs. So testing of ICs on that field level, it becomes more and more complex, the most complex you can say. Even when I speak of value of testing, that is investment for testing, then at the wafer level, it is the cost is minimum, and the cost to the company for testing of a IC on the field level, it is the maximum. Why? Because onto a field we have multiple boards, multiple systems, and multiple ICs. So if there is any failure of any of the chips, say if I have 2000 chips on this field, okay, so there are 2000 chips, or say simply 200 chips, and only 30 chips are not working here, so the entire board may not work. Therefore the cost to the company is too high when we go for field level testing. Instead, if I am testing at package level, that is if I am testing a simple IC, okay, single IC, Then if it is not working, it doesn't cost much to the company. Say it is been given here $0.1 to $1. Why? Because if this is not working, we will throw only this single IC. But here, if few ICs are not working, this board itself is a waste for us. So, and the minimum cost is at wafer level, because all the ICs, they are present on the onto a single wafer, and say from wafer level to package level also, we are enclosing that IC onto a black color package, right? There are different packages. This is called dual inline package, where we have on the two sides we have the pins of input pins and output pins, right? So this is called dual inline package. So to convert an IC, small IC, into this package level, we are investing some amount, right? So if there is any error, then this amount invested in converting IC, the circuitry into the single package IC, that amount is also a waste, because this is not working for us. So if we are trying to debug the errors at the very basic level, where we have simple circuit, then it will cost the minimum. Moving further, logic verification. Now say if you have made an adder, and again logic verification itself is the very first type of testing which we have seen. So if this adder, if it is adding, the logic verification for this IC is true, or if it is working fine, this IC is working fine, or it has passed the test of logic verification if your simple adder is adding the inputs, right? Is your counter counting? If you have manufactured a counter, if it is counting properly, then it has passed the test of logic verification. That is very simple. The function of the IC is tested here. Then verification tests were required to prove that synthesized gate description was functionally equivalent to source RTL. That is register transfer level, that should match with the synthesized gate description, or whatever code you are writing. Out of that code, some RTL will be generated. Here we have, is RTL equivalent to the design specification? This is the question. If it is equivalent, then we say logic verification is true. The method may be anything. Say the description, say the way of testing, it can be anything, like we can write simple C language or system C, or this we have already done, VHDL or Verilog, and we have to simply verify that the RTL generated, whether it is whether it is equivalent to any of these. Say if I am writing a VHDL or Verilog code, whether the specification of our code, is it matching with the RTL, or in very simple words, the RTL generated, whether it is matching to the truth table, right? A table of inputs and required outputs. If this is matched with the RTL generated, then we say that logic verification is successful, or that IC has passed the logic verification. Functional equivalence. Running a simulator onto two descriptions of the chip, one at the gate level and one at the functional level. Ultimately, what we are seeing is outputs are expected. The expected outputs, if they are got, then we say that the logic verification is true, or it is functioning properly. The IC is functioning properly. So we can have some checkpoints in between also, and ultimately this output should match the inputs applied. That is, the expected output should be generated for the inputs different inputs applied. And even it can be done through a test bench also, but here I am telling that it is practically impossible. Why? Again the same thing. I had said you that if we have 32-bit processor, then we have to give 429 something point something crores of inputs, crores of we can say the input combination to test a single IC. Okay, so even writing a test bench, so for how many combinations of inputs will you write the test bench? Your test bench length will be too much. Verification at the top chip level using FPGA emulator offers. So this is being somewhat simpler compared to writing a test bench. Here we are saying that using this method on FPGA, it will take less time compared to the writing the test bench. Even inbuilt circuit may help. That is, say if I have a processor, then say if I have 80% or 70% of the area covered of the chip, if it is processor, then we can have some 20% area of the chip to test this processor itself. That is, internal circuitry may help. Means on the chip we have the actual circuit, and we have the testing circuit also onto the same chip. So whenever it is booted, it will start testing the IC. That is why we can say that whenever the computer is booted, uh, the display doesn't come immediately after pushing the on button. It will take some time, and it will even load some programs and all. So example is including a bit error circuitry into communication modem circuit. If I have any IC related to communication modem, then we can include bit error rate circuitry into that circuit only, that IC only. To test that IC, we can have this circuit within that IC itself. That is testing circuit inside the main IC itself. So we have behavioral specification and RTL specification. So they have to be matched. And similarly, RTL specification with structural specification, even those have to be matched here. So we can say we can obtain some timing analysis or noise analysis, followed by structural specification and physical specification. Even those should be matched. Say, for example, if I am having a metal 3 layer, and again if I have one more metal 3 layer here, but the minimum distance between metal 3 and metal 3, it should be 3 lambda as per the lambda based design rules. But here if I am not validating, if I am not keeping the minimum distance of 3 lambda, then it will give an error. That is, it will give an error DRC. DRC means it is design rule check. That is, it is checking for the lambda based design rules. So it will throw an error that metal 3 and metal 3, they are being placed very near, or the minimum distance of 3 lambda is not being satisfied in the layout. So testing involves all these things. So all these things have to be matched with each other to test the complete IC. Coming to the summary, we have seen what do we mean by testing, what is the meaning of testing, then why is the need for testing. So there was an instance where way back in 1990s, I think Intel company it had uh, released in the market some processor, Intel processor, and I guess 40 million or 400 million chips were into the market. That means they were with the customers itself. But unfortunately, what happened was those set of chips, all 40, I don't remember exactly 40 million or 400 million. Those chips were all chips were having some fault. Okay, some common fault was there within all those chips. So the Intel company again it had no option. So from customers again it it took back all the ICs and it had costed a huge amount to the Intel company. Uh, Therefore, need for testing. It is very important to test the circuit before releasing the circuit or IC into the market, or otherwise it may cost very huge amount, very huge amount, very huge penalty to the company. Then we know challenges faced during testing. The major challenge is the time. Time is the major challenge, and even the money. If more is the time for testing, the more is the amount invested in the testing, because the tester should be given the salary, right? And followed by, we have seen one type of testing, that is logic verification. So today's question, we can think why the ICs are black in color, why the package of the ICs they are black in color. These types of questions definitely they will be asked in the core companies interviews. So you can think on it.